The rain was falling hard. Thick, silver drops poured from the alien sky, making loud splashes on the leaves. Lightning flashed through the dark clouds, followed by a deep rumble of thunder. The jungle moon called Vexaranine was known for storms like this, but this one was worse than usual. Jake Anders, a human explorer, walked slowly through the muddy forest. His boots sank into the wet ground with every step. His breathing mask hissed softly as it cleaned the alien air for him to breathe. Been sent here to scan the area for old tech ruins, but so far he had found nothing. Just rain, mud, and strange trees that looked like they were watching him. Then, he stopped. There, under a crooked black tree. He saw something. A figure at first. Jake thought it was just a statue maybe from some lost alien civilization. But as he stepped closer, he felt a strange chill. The statue looked like a young girl, not human, but beautiful in a strange, otherworldly way. Her skin was smooth stone, gray, but glowing slightly under the rain. Her face showed fear. Her hands were lifted as if to protect herself. Her large alien eyes were wide open in terror, frozen forever. Jake looked around. No footsteps, no signs of tools or a sculptor. Just this one statue in the middle of nowhere? This is too perfect, he whispered. He took a step closer and touched her arm. It was warm. Jake jerked his hand back in shock. Statues weren't supposed to be warm. He leaned in again and placed his fingers on her neck. Still warm, and soft beneath the hard surface, like something alive trapped inside. That's when he heard it. A whisper, soft, weak, carried on the wind and rain. Help. Me, Jake spun around. No one there? He turned back to the statue and stared at her face. Her lips hadn't moved. Her eyes still looked forward. But he was sure of what he'd heard. He looked up at the tree above her, strange carvings covered. Its barcanient symbols, swirling in spiral shapes. One carving looked like a girl surrounded by sharp lines, with her body turning into stone. Is this a curse? Jake said to himself. Did someone turn her to stone? Another rumble of thunder shook the ground. Jake knew he couldn't stay in the open. He quickly set up a small shelter near the statue, just a simple tent and heater. The jungle was dangerous. Strange animals moved through the trees at night. Poisonous plants tried to grab whatever brushed past them, but none of them came near the statue, in fact. Jake noticed something even stranger. The rain didn't touch her. It fell all around her, but not directly on her. As if the sky itself avoided her, he sat under his tent, staring at her through the rain. He turned on his translator and tried speaking. Can you hear me? He asked. Are you alive in there? No answer. Jake took out his datapad and searched. For local myths, he had downloaded some Lysarian history files before landing. One story caught his eye. When emotion goes too far, the ancient curse awakens. Love, rage, fear, one moment too strong, and the body turns to stone to protect the soul. It was called the petrification curse. Jake looked at the statue again. Did you feel fear? He asked quietly. What happened to you? He looked at the soft glow on her chest, very faint, like a dying ember. He wondered if her heart was still beating inside that stone shell. He took off his jacket and walked through the rain. Gently, he placed it over her shoulders. I don't know if you can feel this, he said, but I'm not leaving you here. I'll find a way to help you. Then something happened. Her right finger moved, just a little. It's almost nothing. But Jake saw it. He stepped back, heart racing. She's alive. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He sat by the heater, watching her through the clear side of the tent. The rain didn't stop. The jungle stayed quiet. Not even a single bird call or insect chirp. Just silence. And the faint whisper he kept hearing again and again. Help. Me. Jake didn't know who she was, what cursed her, or how to save her. But he knew one thing for sure. She wasn't just a statue. She was waiting. And now she had a human who had found her and wouldn't give up. The storm was over, but the silence was worse. Jake Anders stood beside the strange statue girl. Her skin still looked like smooth stone, but he had seen her finger move. Just a little, enough to prove she wasn't just stone. She was alive, trapped, waiting. Jake looked up at the tree above, her the one with twisted black branches and thick roots. Its bark held old symbols. Alien writing no human had ever recorded? He took a holoscan and zoomed in on one set of markings. They were shaped like curved claws, circling a crying face. "This isn't art," he said. "This is a warning." Suddenly, his datapad buzzed. Translation match. 18%. Ancient Lysarian dialect. Rooted in curse law, Jake blinked. Expect even that much. The Lysarian culture had been secretive. Most of their knowledge was destroyed in the Great Collapse centuries ago. Yet something here had survived. Something old, still dangerous. He followed the tree's largest root, which led to a nearby ridge. There, buried under thick leaves and moss, was a smooth stone slab. It didn't belong to the jungle. It was flat and clean, almost like a hidden door. Jake cleared the surface. The same markings from the tree were carved into the stone, along with a new symbol, a teardrop inside a flame. That's when a deep groan came from behind him. Jake turned fast, pulling out his pulse cutter. But it wasn't an enemy. It was an old alien thin, skin cracked like dried mud, clothes made from woven bark and bone. He was hunched with glowing green eyes that pulsed dimly. "Leave her," the alien rasped. "Let the stone keep her silent." Jake stepped forward slowly. "Who is she?" The alien didn't blink. "A daughter of war, child of blood. She is marked." Jake didn't back down. "She's alive. I saw her move." The alien coughed a wet, broken sound. "Then it has begun." Again, Jake helped the alien sit on a stone near the ash tree. The rain had stopped, but the air felt heavy. "You're Lysarian," Jake said. The old alien nodded weakly. "One of the last, the keeper of lost things. Tell me how to free her." The alien raised one bony finger toward the tree. "Curse is not just stone, it is memory. Pain frozen inside the body. She must be remembered, and someone must feel for her." Jake frowned. "You mean like emotion?" The alien nodded slowly. "The curse locked her heart in time. Only a bond can break it, but not from her kind. They made the curse. It must come from another blood, a human." The alien whispered. "You must offer intent." Jake sat down slowly. This was far beyond what he expected when he landed on this moon. What kind of intent? Not words, not promises. Something deeper. The alien pointed to the Terran flame symbol. "You must give her your strongest memory. The one that still burns inside you." Jake's throat tightened. One memory stabbed him from inside a hospital bed on Earth. His sister's last smile. Her whisper, "Don't forget me." He looked down. "I have that," he said quietly. "I never let it go." The alien's breathing slowed. "Then, you have a chance." Jake turned to thank him, but the old keeper had already closed his eyes. His body turned to dust, his duty finished. The jungle was silent again. Jake returned to the statue girl. Her face was still frozen in fear. But somehow, she looked more peaceful now, as if she had heard the conversation, as if she knew someone had finally come. Jake sat beside her. He took off his glove and placed his bare hand on hers, cold but soft. "My name's Jake," he said. "I don't know your name yet, but I will find it. I'll find you." His eyes wandered to the Terran flame symbol again. Something about it felt like a map. He opened his pack and pulled out his sister's locket, since it was her picture. Still glowing faintly, he placed it against the statue girl's hand. Nothing happened at first then. A soft hum, very faint. Like a distant song just beginning. Jake smiled. "We're not done yet." The jungle was quiet but not safe. Jake Anders climbed the steep ridge beyond the ash tree. Guided by the strange symbols etched in stone, the air here smelled different. It's not just damp earth and old roots. It was sharper, like metal and rot. Every step he took, the vines seemed to twist away, as if warning him, Don't go further. But he did. He had to. Somewhere out here was the truth. A way to save the alien girl trapped in stone. A way to unlock the curse. Jake reached a narrow crack. In the mountain wall, barely wide enough to slide through, he checked his gear, tightened the light band around his head, and stepped inside. Darkness swallowed him whole. The tunnel inside was cold and wet. Faint glowing fungus pulsed blue and purple along the walls. The deeper he walked, the more unnatural it felt. Like the air didn't belong here, like it hadn't been touched in. Hundreds of years, then he saw it, a skeleton, slumped near a wall. Not human, Lysarian. Thin arms, long fingers. A small knife still gripped in its bony hand. Jake crouched down. Carved into the cave wall behind the skeleton were the same swirling symbols he had seen on the ash tree, but now more violent, chaotic. Like screams frozen into stone, his light flashed across something farther inside. A chamber, and at its center a low pedestal. On it sat a scroll, old, fragile, wrapped in black string. Jake stepped forward. Snap. A sound. Behind him he turned quickly. His light caught movement, something crawling along the wall. It wasn't just fungus. Eyes. Red. Watching. A creature was clinging to the ceiling. It was thin like bone, skin stretched tight, and its mouth was wide open, full of sharp twitching teeth. Its legs were shaped like claws. It hissed softly as it stared at him. Jake didn't wait, grabbed the scroll and ran. The creature dropped to the ground, fast and silent. Jake rushed through the tunnel, heart pounding, breath short. The creature chased, fast but not loud. It didn't scream, it didn't roar. It followed, like it had been waiting for years for someone to take that scroll. Jake jumped out of the crack in the ridge and rolled down the hill. He didn't stop until he reached the edge of the forest. The creature didn't follow into the light. Back at the statue girl's resting place, Jake dropped to his knees and unwrapped the scroll carefully.
The writing was in the same ancient
style, but this time the translator managed to catch a few key words. Tariah. Sealed in fear, memory shall free the soul. Jake stared at the name. Tariah. It had to be hers. He looked at her face. Even turned to stone, she looked peaceful. The soft glow on her chest had returned, but now it was brighter. Steady pulse like a heartbeat under glass. Jake said the name aloud. Tariah. The glow flashed once. Then her finger moved again. But this time, not just a twitch. It curled slightly toward his hand. Jake reached out slowly and placed his fingers over hers. I found your name, he whispered. You're not alone anymore. Suddenly he felt something in his head. A pressure. Not painful, but deep. Like a voice, but without sound. A memory not his own. A flash, a girl running through fire. Another flashguards pulling her away. A scream, no, I won't forget. Jake gasped and pulled back. He was sweating. The glow on her chest faded but didn't disappear. She was reaching for him in thought, not just touch. She's waking up, Jake whispered. He looked down at the scroll again. One final symbol had appeared now that the string was removed. A symbol shaped like two joined hands, one human, one alien. There was no doubt now. This wasn't just about breaking a curse. It was a connection. And Jake had started it. The jungle no longer felt quiet. Jake Anders stood guard near the statue of Tariah. Her hand had moved. Her glow had returned. Her name Tariah was no longer a mystery, but something else had changed. He was being watched. Above the trees, something flickered across the clouds. A flash of red light, then another. Jake raised his scanner. 3 ships. Fast. Silent. Not local. Damn, Jake whispered. The scroll from the cave had triggered something. Maybe a signal. Maybe a trap. Whatever it was, it brought company and not the friendly kind. He didn't know who they were, but he had a guess. Tariah's own people. The ones who had cursed her, sealed her, then walked away. Now that she was waking up, they wanted her gone again. For good. 2 hours later, the first ship landed. Jake hid in the tall red grass, breathing slow. His cloak adjusted to the colors around him, giving him decent camouflage. Through his scope, he saw 4 figures exit the ship, 3 armored bounty hunters, and 1 female alien with robes and golden skin. Her face was sharp, eyes narrow. She wore a crest of bone on her head like a crown. Jake scanned her profile through the system, match found. Commander Sane, blood noble of the Lysarian court. Wanted for memory wiping rituals. Status, cleared. She's a relative, Jake muttered. Maybe even her sister. Sane walked directly toward the statue. She didn't look surprised to see Taraya. She looked angry. She's still glowing, one bounty hunter said. Impossible. Sane snapped. The seal was full. Who broke it? Jake stayed hidden, holding his breath. I want the scroll, Sane said coldly. Search the area. If someone touched the seal, kill them. The bounty hunters spread out with scanners. Jake ducked low and began moving carefully back through the jungle. He had hidden the scroll near his camp, but they would find it eventually. He had to act first. At night, Jake returned to Taraya. Her glow was fading again. No. Stay with me, he whispered. He held her hand again. I don't have much time. They want you gone. They're scared of you waking up. A soft hum answered him, inside his head. Suddenly a voice, not a full sentence, not words, just emotion. Fear, sadness, warmth, then a flash of memory. T.I. Raya on a throne, her people cheering, then screams, soldiers dragging her, her own sister looking away. Jake opened his eyes so it was true. They had turned her into stone to silence her. She knew something powerful, something forbidden. And now that she was waking up, they were coming to make sure she stayed forgotten. Jake stood up and looked down at her. I won't let them take you. Then he heard footsteps, too close. A bounty hunter stepped into the clearing, gun raised. Jake had no choice. He dove forward and tackled the alien to the ground before he could fire. The two wrestled in the mud. Jake slammed his elbow into the alien's helmet and kicked him away. He grabbed the blaster and fired, missed. The second shot hit the hunter in the chest. He didn't get up. Jake ran into the trees, heart pounding. But it was too late. The others had heard red flares shot into the sky, alarms, voices shouting. Jake escaped deep into the forest and circled back hours later. He found the clearing empty. Taraya was gone. The pedestal was broken. Pieces of her stone hand were scattered on the ground. No, Jake fell to his knees. He picked up a piece of her hand and held it tightly. It was still warm. That meant she wasn't dead, just taken. But where? Suddenly, his comlink buzzed. A hidden channel, an old Lysarian code. Then a voice whispered, if you want her alive, come to the Tower of Ash. Bring the scroll. Jake stared at the jungle's edge. They had taken her, but they didn't know one thing. Jake Anders never gave up. The Tower of Ash rose like a scar in the middle of the jungle. It was ancient, burned black, and shaped like a twisted spiral. No windows, no doors. Just a crack near the base barely wide enough for a man to crawl through. Smoke flowed slowly from its tip, even though no fire burned inside. Jake Anders stood in front of it, tired and wounded. His arm was bandaged from the fight with the bounty hunters. The scroll was strapped to his back. And in his jacket pocket, he still carried the warm, broken piece of Taraya's stone hand. She had been taken inside, alive but only for now. They wanted him to bring the scroll. He had done that. But Jake wasn't here to trade. He was here to finish this. The inside of the tower felt alive. The walls pulsed softly with dim red light, like veins under skin. Strange whispers echoed from above, though no one else was in sight. The path spiraled upward, covered in faded murals and carvings, the history of the Lysarians. Jake walked slowly, reading them as he passed. One carving showed a young girl standing before a group of elders. Her mouth opened, speaking. The elders looked away. Another carving showed the same girl turned to stone. While the others walked past her, not looking back, Jake clenched his fists. That girl was Taraya. She had tried to tell the truth, and they had punished her with silence. Near the top of the tower, Jake entered a large chamber filled with symbols glowing on the floor. In the center was a stone platform and Taraya, still half frozen, chained at the wrists. Her eyes opened when she saw him. She couldn't speak. But he heard her in his mind again, her emotions pouring through. Fear. Hope. A quiet cry, "You came." Jake ran to her side and touched her arm. "I'm here," he said. "I'm going to get you out." That's when he heard footsteps behind him. Commander Sane stepped from the shadows. She was calm, cold, dressed in ceremonial robes with golden claws hanging from her neck. "So, the human came?" she said with a smile. "How touching." Jake stood protectively in front of Taraya. "Let her go." "She's cursed," Anders Sane said softly. "Can't save her with fists or weapons. Need something much harder, a bond ritual." "I know," Jake said, pulling out the scroll. "And I'm ready." Sane raised her brow. "Are you really?" she asked. "Do you even know what it costs?" Jake unrolled the scroll. "I have to give her my strongest memory, the one I've never shared with anyone." Sane smiled bitterly. "And once you give it, you never get it back." Jake looked at Taraya. Her eyes said it all. She didn't want him to suffer, but she needed him. He knelt beside her and placed both hands on her cheeks. "I lost someone long ago," Jake whispered. "My little sister. She died in my arms. I carried that pain with me all my life. I never let it go." He took the locket from around his neck, opened it. "My memory of her smile kept me alive through every dark moment. But now I'm giving it to you." Taraya's stone chest pulsed brighter. Jake touched his forehead to hers. The room filled with light. Suddenly, Jake saw flashes, not just of his own memory, but of Taraya's too. Her sitting in a quiet garden, laughing, her standing before the Lysarian elders, begging them to stop the ritual. Her running from soldiers, her screaming as the stone crept over her skin, her mind screaming even louder when no one came. And now his memory entered her, his sister's last smile, her final words. The warmth of human love. The chains shattered. The stone cracked and fell from her skin like dust. Taraya stood alive, glowing, reborn. She was still half alien. But something had changed. Her eyes were brighter. Her energy felt different. She turned to Sane. "You sealed me in silence," she said softly. "But this human gave me a voice." Sane looked afraid for the first time. Taraya stepped forward. Jake was shaking, weak. She turned and caught him as he collapsed into her arms. He blinked. I can't remember her face." Taraya pressed her forehead to his. "Then I'll remember it for you," she whispered. "Every day." And she did. Asterisk smoke rose from the top of the Tower of Ash. But this time, it was not a warning. It was a signal. Taraya stood at the broken edge of the tower platform, her arms free, her body no longer stone. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the pale. Twin moons of Vexarinine. Her golden eyes stared down at the jungle below, where fires had begun to light. She turned slightly. And behind her, Jake Anders lay on the ground, weak but alive. Ritual had taken his memory of his sister. It had saved her. Now her heart burned with something stronger than magic, purpose and vengeance. Within hours, the sky above the jungle swarmed with ships. The Lysarian High Council had learned that Taraya, the girl they turned to stone to silence her truth, was free, and they were terrified. "They'll try to erase me again," Taraya said, watching the enemy ships circle. "And this time, they'll come with fire." Jake forced himself to sit up. "Then we fight back." "You've already given enough," she said gently, touching his face. "The bond you gave Mitt lives inside me now. It made me stronger than they ever planned for." Jake looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" Taraya held out her hand. A pulse of energy burst from her palm, lighting up the tower walls with ancient symbols. The tower responded like it remembered her. Jake stood slowly, eyes wide. "You're connected to this place?" She nodded. "I was born in this tower. My people erased that memory when they cursed me. But when you gave me your pain, my pain came back too. Every memory, every betrayal." She stepped forward, her voice steady. "They used to call me the seer of the flame. I was born with the gift to uncover buried truths. I saw the council's lies, their hidden crimes, the way they twisted our history." Jake clenched his fists. "That's why they silenced you." Taraya nodded. They feared what I knew would set the stars on fire. Outside, the first wave of council forces landed near the jungle base. Elite hunters. Bold. Flameborn troopers. Shadow Guard. They came with weapons, drones, and silenced no announcements. No questions, just the mission. Erase the girl, destroy the tower, kill the human. Jake helped Taraya set traps along the old temple paths, placing energy spikes and mirror bombs near the roots. She knew every curve of the jungle. It used to be her home. Now, it would be her battlefield. I have to tell the truth, she said, loading a small orb into her palm. I have to show the galaxy what they did to me. Jake handed her a transmitter core. Then we broadcast it. As the jungle burned and the sky turned red, Taraya walked to the top of the tower once more. She opened her palm and released the truth. The stars lit up across the Lysarian Empire, across border colonies and old rebel systems. People received her message, a hologram of her stony prison, a recording of her screams as the curse took her, a replay of the bond ritual showing a human giving up the memory of his dead sister to free someone not even from his world. And then Taraya's face, alive, glowing strong. My name is Taraya. I was buried in stone because I dared to speak the truth. But a human came, and he gave me something my own people never did: a second chance. You've heard the lies. Now hear the flame. The broadcast exploded across communication networks, and the council panicked. They sent everything they had. Hours later, Jake and Taraya stood together among the jungle ruins, weapons in hand. Fires blazed behind them. Crashed ships lay broken. Bounty hunters scattered. Shadow guards defeated. Jake was bleeding from his shoulder. Taraya was glowing brighter than ever. You're winning, Jake said, smiling weakly. No, she said. We are. She turned to him, tears in her eyes. What you gave me, I'll never be able to return it. But I promise I'll carry it, every breath. Jake looked at her. You already gave it back, he said. How? You reminded me why I still fight. Above them, a final council ship tried to escape, but was struck by a rebel cruiser. The awakening war had begun, and this time, truth was on fire. The war was not over, but the silence was. From orbit, the jungle moon of Vexarani no longer looked like a cursed place. The black clouds had cleared. The fire from the council's final assault had burned out. What remained was smoke, ash, and something new. Hope.Ti Raya stood at the edge of the Tower of Ash now, cracked open like a broken shell. Her once glowing body was calm now, and her golden eyes held something stronger than fire: clarity. Behind her, hundreds of rebels and freethinkers had gathered, some Lysarian, some alien, some human. They didn't come for war. They came because they had heard the truth, and the truth had a face now, a down below. Down below. In a quiet garden she had not seen since childhood, Jake Anders sat under the ash tree where he first found her. A bandage still wrapped his arm, and his body still ached, but his mind was emptier than it used to be. He could no longer remember his sister's name, or her voice, or her smile, but he remembered why he had loved her, and that emotion he still carried. That the bond had taken the memory, but it had planted something in return. Something that now pulsed inside him like a second heartbeat. He heard soft footsteps behind him. I didn't think you'd still be here, Taraya said. Gently, Jake smiled without turning. I thought about leaving. Why didn't you? He looked up at the tree, the one that once held her stone form. Because this is where I met you, and where I lost part of myself. To bring you back. Taraya knelt beside him. Fingers brushed the broken stone piece he still carried in his jacket. Her old hand, now lifeless, had been shattered during her capture. Jake had never let it go. You still carry that? She whispered. Jake shrugged. It's a reminder of what? He looked into her eyes. That saving someone means carrying pieces of them, even after they're whole again. Later, as the twin suns began to rise, Taraya stood before the crowd. She had called this gathering for one reason: to decide what came next. The council has fallen, she said, but we are not here to build another throne. She raised the scroll. One Jake had stolen from the poisoned cave, the one that started everything. This will not be hidden again. Our past must be told. Our wrongs must be remembered. And the curse that turned me to stone will never be used on anyone again. Cheer rose from the rebels. Taraya took a breath. But I cannot lead alone. Voice was saved by one not born of our world. She turned, hand outstretched. Jake Anders, come forward. The crowd parted as Jake walked toward her. Surprised and limping, I didn't agree to a speech, he muttered under his breath. Taraya smiled. You agreed to fight beside me? Now I ask, will you walk beside me? He looked at Herthis. Girl who was once stone, once broken, now standing tall with galaxies watching. Jake didn't need memories to make this choice. I will. He took her hand. Later that night, Taraya and Jake stood alone in the tower ruins. The stars are clear again, Jake said, looking up. They're watching, she whispered. Do you think they understand what we did? She looked at him. Not yet, but they will. He raised an eyebrow. And what if they try to silence you again? Taraya stepped close, voice soft and steady. Then let them try. Not made of stone anymore. Jake smiled, and under the open sky, surrounded by ash, broken stone, in blooming roots they kissed, not as savior and saved, not as human and alien, but as two souls, bonded by fire, loss, and something no curse could ever take away. Final line, you gave me your pain, she said. Now let me give you my future.